But I hope you get more from this non-paid workshop than you usually get from other workshops you've attended. That being said, let's go. We're here because of these two guys. Can you see the words? Yeah? Hello? Yeah. We're here because of, I don't know if you've heard of these neurotransmitters, serotonin and dopamine. So I know it's February, but the only two things we actually like are these guys. Serotonin is related to sleep, wake, sex, appetite, and mood. And then dopamine is related with addiction. So let me tell you the first takeaway for the night. We do behaviors because these neurotransmitters kick in. And I'll tell you right now how to rewire one of them. It's the understanding that you've heard of dopamine, right? And how they say it's the addiction transmitter. Well, here's the kicker. We don't get the kick when we get the reward. We get the kick in anticipation of the reward. So a simple thing you can already do to your routines so that they more instinctively, automatically become habits is to include a celebration that you can look forward to. Very often, people postpone and do not include celebration, so they never really feel like they're done. Okay? One of the biggest problems with procrastination is actually a matter of fake perfection or fake perfectionism. Because what actually happens in the common perfectionism is people have no real idea of what done or being accomplished looks like, so they keep changing the goalpost and they never really get to celebrate. So what happens is that their habits extinguish themselves because there isn't a reinforcing mechanism in place. So again, when you're building a habit, you have a trigger, a routine, a reward, be sure you have something to look forward to that propels you forward. I hope that's been a good takeaway. And for those who have no other attention span, it was nice seeing you. That's enough for tonight. For everybody else who's staying, let's go. Are you still there, guys?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're still here.
Yeah, I hope you got something from that first thing. Okay. What you learned here? What life-saving medicine and surgery can teach us about time management. How to get more important work done in about half the time or less. How to destroy distractions. How to overcome procrastination. How to get sustained motivation. How to get more clear and focused. And how to actually bend or control time. Of course, there'll be more implementation details in the more detailed workshop, but I hope to get you through this list during this little time we have. Anyway, are you familiar with FWB? It's February after all. FWB, yeah, focused with benefits.
Love it.
Great.
So you're gonna get a clear mind, more focused work output, better energy levels, a hopefully more sustainable lifestyle, and improved relationships and better in physical and emotional health. Remember that word, that acronym FWD. Short backgrounder. 24 hours a day. You spend about a third of it asleep. You spend about a third of it doing work or whatever it is that, sustains your body and your family and your loved ones. You have about 8 hours. This is most people in the world. You have about 8 hours to do other things. And what happens with those 8 hours is we usually don't own them. What happens is, let's see, we spend about an hour and 42 minutes. This is worldwide average, taking care of just staying clean. So this is bathing. Here, the Philippine joke goes, brush your teeth, eat, and that's the 1 hour daily so that you live, and then brush your teeth so that others can live. So that's the 1 hour daily of eating, and then the 1 hour 42 minutes of us taking a bath and daily hygiene. And more time is actually wasted doing other things. The 2 hours and 22 minutes here is the worldwide average for social media, non-useful social media. This is social media where you're not posting about your offer. This is just wasted time scrolling. In the Philippines, it's worse. It spikes up to 10 hours per day. I don't know how people are doing it, but they're able to spend 10 hours non-productively in the Philippines, most of us, on Facebook. So between 2 and 10 hours. And that was a shock to me. I'll say it in a different way. If you don't know who's in charge of your day, it's not you. If you aren't sure at the start of the day that you're in charge of your day, if at any point in time you were asked who's in charge of your day and you can't say it's you, I guarantee it's someone else. And it's just to illustrate what I think might be happening. This is for those who want to be of impact to other people. This isn't for people who just want information. Sorry, this definitely isn't for people for whom they're just looking for entertainment and something to do. This is for people who are looking for sanity, to have systems so that they don't go crazy, and who need to do that because they have to take care of others. So if you've got responsibilities, well, this is useful. The public run for acceleration will actually be focusing on students who are about to graduate and enter the workforce. Students in general, sure, but more specifically on university students who are about to graduate and join the workforce, and those already in the workforce. Because my regional partners have told me they've reviewed the data and productivity has dropped by 12% since the pandemic. So just because of the shift to work from home, a minimum of 12% in output is lost. Just because there aren't the usual things you're exposed to. There isn't the environment, there isn't the supportive co-worker, there isn't that routine. You don't even have to dress up. And most people left to their own devices, we're not very good at controlling ourselves. This is a screenshot of how my phone setup used to look like. It still looks kind of similar. The basic idea, number two, if you'd like to take home another idea, is build rituals so that they become habits. And then these habits will automate the rest of your life. Because like it or not, right now, habits are running you. It's not you most of the time. It's the automatic things you do. So my invitation is do something ritualistically that you decide on, that carries over to become a habit. That's a good habit. And that takes care of you and the ones who are important to you. So that's my first invitation for the night. How many of you could relate to any of this? This is your invitation to set aside your other stuff. This won't take very long. It'll probably take about 45 minutes. Set aside your other stuff if you can, or step away when you need to. This is from Ken Ken. Is this familiar?
Yun yun sa, it's a Netflix thing, the chocolate. Yeah, the Filipino address.
This is from, this is from Alexandra offering the Nuno chocolate. I'm basically saying here that for every magic, and we learned this from stuff as far back as Full Metal Alchemist, for every magic, there's a sacrifice. And that's kind of the sacrifice for the magic you're going to learn tonight, to give us a little attention and energy, to set aside the other stuff and invest in yourself. Said this way in Filipino. I'll go quickly through this. I've done a lot of stuff, and the craziest period in my life is probably 2004 to 2009. I was juggling several hats. I had a practice in, Quezon City, Marikina, and Cebu, and I was teaching university. I was teaching nursing students. And I had, at this time, a team of 18 physical therapists, arguably the Philippines' best. So I was managing all of that at the same time that I was taking care of 80 military families. And I'd rather not do that craziness again. And so a lot of the stuff I've done is just to make sure that I stay sane so I can protect the people who depend on me. And that's my hope for you too. You don't have to do the craziness I did. And that's kind of the point, so that you learn from stuff I've done wrong. I've coached around the world. One of my processes is running in about 88 to 90 countries now, as implemented by an organization that I can't go into too many details, but it impacts a hell of a lot of people. and particularly children worldwide in difficult to reach areas in particular. And that's come from my simplifying things into systems which are reproducible. So that's my hope for you. Create a system for yourself tonight. And we've done this locally with my friends who are on the call as well, including Ken and Luigi. And some of you are in this roll call. You'll recognize yourselves. Cool. So as we're going through this, write down on a sheet of paper. If you don't have a sheet of paper yet, you should have one. I don't suggest the phone, but here's the first thing to write down if you haven't written down the first two things I told you. Oh, why do you want to learn something new? Why do you want to learn how to be productive? Why do you want to learn how to not be stagnant? Why do you want to learn how to not be stuck? What circumstances are you stuck with? What's your motivation? What's your drive for doing this? Is it just you? I don't know if you've noticed, but we have a limited time on this planet. And each year we waste, there's less time available. So time will also seem to pass by more swiftly and seem like nothing useful has happened if we don't plan for it. So, what's your motivation? What's your reason for, okay, this shit has to stop. I want to change. Who do I have to take care of? It could be you, it could be someone else. It could be other people. It could be something you want to do. It could be people you want to help out. What's your reason? Ken would be very familiar with this. A very good reason to know why you're here and try to learn what we're doing is something that's called opportunity cost. Let's say in crypto, a good deal comes. Like right now, the coins are on discount. If you don't have money set aside to buy these coins while they're down, that's lost opportunity cost. Something could 10x overnight, but if you didn't have something saved up for it, you can't. If you didn't sleep well, you can't function the next day. If you didn't figure out how to manage your energy, you'll be useless tomorrow. So what's the cost? What are you unable to do because you have not been able to prepare? That's my question here. Are you getting this, guys?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah. What's the sacrifice I can make? What's the loss because I didn't make that sacrifice? Netflix is nice, but if you have other stuff to do, you might want to do that before Netflix. This is mean. There are actually countdown to death timers that you can download on Android and iOS. It gives you an approximate idea of how long you have left. Some of them even ask for details like family history and what diseases and medications you have. Just so you have an idea of, what, I've been wasting time doing nothing, but actually I don't have so much of it. Because that's the kicker. That's what you're spending. By not being focused, you're spending your energy and you're wasting your time and you can't get that back. So really, how long do you have left to live and what would you like to get done before you go? This is kind of brutal. So I guess the theme for tonight is GYSIO, or get your shit in order. Nicely said. Get some focus. I put this in because there was a girl during one of the versions of this, and she was really angry because it seemed to me at the time that a lot of her identity was hinged on the fact that she believed wholeheartedly that she could multitask, that she was this magnificent unicorn that can do this magnificent, wonderful thing called multitasking. I'm sorry. Fact of the matter is, I'll tell you later. But can I get a show of hands? How many of you actually believe that you can multitask? I'm curious. Can I have a hello? Is anyone still here?
Still here.
Yep.
Can you multitask, guys?
No.
I know Ken can. So let's start with this. The one thing you really need to know, and you can leave right after this if you'd like, is that time management is BS. Time management is a lie. We can't really manage time. You have 24 hours. Try as best as you can. You cannot make it 30. Okay, you can slow down or speed up your perception of it, but time is kind of the fixed variable. Okay, so people who have been going at it the time management route have gotten it all wrong. And since they've been trying to control something they can't control, they've had no control. So my question for you guys is, if we need to be able to function around time, but we can't control time, what should we be controlling? Any ideas?
Ourselves.
Amen. Who said this, by the way? Hello? Who said that, by the way?
Is it your perception of how to accomplish the work?
Okay. Self-perception in relation to how to accomplish things. Okay. Cool. Anything else? Anyone? Yeah, energy. Okay. We'll go through that. Anyone else want to chime in? Okay. So I'm sorry we can't control time. Things to try. So anyone who says they can control time or that they're doing time management, it's still fashionable in antiquated practices or practice fields like human relations departments worldwide. They do time management. I don't know how they do it because my experience is it can't be done. Okay. And so we go through the 3 lies of time management and things like that. Number 1 is the control and leverage lie. The misunderstanding about what to control. You see, we can't control time. What we can control is how much energy we're spending or bleeding. And the way to control our energy is to actually control our attention. So ultimately, the currency we're spending is our attention, our focus. And some people know this so well, they can control us. Notice how Facebook does it. Each habit is 1 step away. So it's addictive. Like, comment, share. That's the structure of a very well done habit. That's a structure of a very easy ritual to do. 1 step, 1 step, 1 step. And by controlling our attention, it controls our energy and has control over how much time we waste. So my invitation, friends, first is, you've heard it said that where attention is focused, that's where our energy flows. So my invitation is to figure out what you're focused on, because that's what controls how much you're feeding or how much you're bleeding. You can use energy as a calibration. How do I feel? How much energy do I need to spend? You can use that as a calibration, but the thing you really need to control is your focus. And a very important understanding around focus is that we used to think of focus as being like concentrating light like a laser beam. That's how we used to think about it. Diffused light and then concentrated as a singular point of light or laser beam. Our understanding now of focus, the neuroscience says that focus is more actually like you have a very large house with many rooms. And then focus is turning off the lights where you don't need it. So that if you're only in one room, turn off the other lights. That is what focus is like. And that is what the process of clarity or clarification actually is. The removal of the unessential so that we have the critical minimal that actually does the most work. Because there's this thing we call the Pareto principle, and it's an oversimplification of the basic idea that some things will waste the most time, and then some things will create the most resources or opportunities. So by example, 80% of the people will waste most of your time. 20% of the people will give you the most happiness. And these are just examples of the 80-20 rule. In crypto, 80% of the things you could put your money in will cause you a loss. 20% can maybe turn your bank for positive. Okay, and if you look at this, you'll find so many ways that the Pareto rule or principle can be applied across your life. Just think in terms of 80-20 and reassure yourself that the 80 is often not in your favor and you're looking for the 20% that's the highest leverage. Okay, you're looking for like what 20% of this activity or what 20% of this understanding or what 20% actions can deliver me 80% results. So you have a 3,600 return. Does that kind of make sense, guys? Halu?
Yep.
Cool.
Makes sense.
Yes.
Cool. Are you getting something from this, guys?
Oh yeah, we're starting to reevaluate.
Right. So
Yes.
my invitation is on your sheets. Look across your life, and if you'd like, my invitation actually is, if you'd like, we could do a mind dump, and I'll show you my personal systems, if you'd like, so that you have like a guided tour of stuff you haven't evaluated in your life, and you could later begin to do a Pareto assessment or a focus assessment and go 80-20 through your life and see, what 20% should I actually be focused on that will produce actually 80% of the returns? What 80% should I set aside for later because they aren't doing me well? Does that kind of make sense?
Yep, definitely.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
The second low-key lie is the myth of many. So there's this basic idea where, we're convinced, and we're convinced even more so now by technology, that we can multitask. The thing is, we cannot actually multitask. Okay, so you could try to do that now. Okay, at the same time of thinking that you're in this webinar, this training, this seminar, this meeting, think that you're also in Boracay. You got it? Are you
Yep.
there? Okay, now I'd like you to do both at the same time. And you'll find that the only way to do both at the same time is to shift between each. Let me say it in a different way. If you try, when you're in the middle of the ocean in non-buoyant water, to swim to the left and to swim to the right at the same time, you will drown. You have to choose where to go. Does that kind of make sense?
Yep.
Hello? Yeah. And if you hold up your hand in front of you, let's say 5 fingers, okay. If you add the length of all of the fingers, okay, that's longer than all of the fingers side to side. So in other words, if you spread your fingers out, that's like multitasking, not really going anywhere. But if you add them up in one direction, that's what focus is like. Okay? Because the neuroscience says we cannot actually multitask. What we could do is switch task or switch focus. Right? When we claim we're multitasking, we're just rapidly switching between tasks. Okay? And what happens is there's cognitive residue, in Philippines, larak, from the previous activity onto the next activity. Okay. So if you're concentrating on something, some of your thinking about that will transfer on to the new activity. Okay. And this is only feasible if you're not doing deep work. What deep work is cognitively demanding or mind demanding activities, things which require effort, which are highly valuable to many people. So watching Netflix is not deep work. Concentrating on figuring out a problem that produces solutions that will scale your company, that counts as deep work. Okay. So taking the time to strategize and execute, that's deep work. Okay. And then when people say they can multitask, and if you are the 0.3 to 3% unicorn that can actually multitask, congratulations. But most people aren't that. You're on some strange fluke of a genius. Chances are you're like everybody else, and that's not a bad thing. However, you cannot truly multitask. And the way to multitask, if you'd like, is, well, how I used to do it, which is I could concentrate on something while I had music playing. That's 2 different things. But one was carrier, one was signal. One was signal, one was just background noise. You cannot do 2 cognitively demanding tasks at the same time. So by example, while I'm hiking in an area where I'm very familiar with the terrain, I could concentrate on a problem very intensely. That's a kind of multitasking. That's a kind of deep, focused work. Okay, but to have 2 cognitively demanding tasks, like you're trying to learn something, trying to study something, trying to learn, trying to do YouTube, trying to read something, you have the TV on. No, if you're just trying to understand everything at the same time, you have to switch off and then go to the next and then go to the next. And it takes longer and you get less from it. Are we making sense so far?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So of the seatwork homework that after we mind dump, I would like for you to do, and you might like to write this down. Figure out which of your activities you've been lying to yourself. You've been saying that you can actually do, but I will bet you can get done more focused, more effectively in shorter period of time if you just focus on it without multitasking. So by example, I could focus on a problem poorly while fixing my room, going through my things, looking through memorabilia, and talking to people. It'll take me 8 hours, and I still won't get done. Okay? But you know what it's like when it's crunch time and you have to focus on something, and then suddenly you can do it in 30 minutes. Okay? So my invitation is, why not do that first? So you have celebration time to do everything else. Does that kind of make sense?
Yes.
Guys?
Yes.
Okay. So one of the examples of using this is, figure out what's truly of high impact, of the things which come up during our mind dump or mind flush. Start to cross out things which are a joke, which are multitasking, which are actually you're wasting time. And then figure out which few things you could focus on first, starting tomorrow morning, so that if you planned a win tonight, you could carry out that win tomorrow morning in the first 30 minutes of your day. And then the rest of the day is yours. And you already have that winner feeling. And then you could celebrate with it. Rather than those days when you didn't know what you were doing tomorrow and you didn't have anything planned, and therefore you weren't in charge of your day. And then the first email that came, the first chat that came, that's it. It ate up your day. Got nothing done, and you feel bad, and you don't know why. Is this making sense, guys? Everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And then the third lie of time management and productivity is the myth of mood. This is a favorite even among friends before, where, I'll wait until I feel better to do it. We're waiting until we're motivated, or we feel like it, or we feel better. And usually that time takes too long to come, and the opportunity has passed, and the opportunity cost piles up. It gets too costly to do something because we lost the proper time to do it, or we weren't able to build the resources or the focus or energy to do it because we wasted it on something else. So my invitation is, design a system so that you make sure that no day passes without a win. And preferably you do that first thing. In Brian Tracy's work, this is called ETH, or ETH, sorry, ETH, or Ethereum, eat the frog. Okay? So it's the ugly thing that's, if you get it done, it's done. And you can do other things. But it's the thing we usually avoid because it's cognitively demanding. It takes a lot of us. So the tendency is, we will take the feeling good right now than rather doing the thing we feel is difficult, because that one's painful, and we're not looking at long term. We're sacrificing our future selves for our present pleasure. Okay, so my invitation is, instead, get that frog out of the way. ETH, or Ethereum it, eat that frog. Get it done. Get it out of the way. Because motivation is very poor, very temporary. And actually, my personal definition of motivation is the hype that others do for you so that you do their work for them. So by example, your upline will motivate you because it will make money for them. That's motivation. And Jim Rohn says motivation is like taking a bath. We need it every day. Of course, if it's not yours, if it's not natural to you, if you don't really want it, if actually it's what benefits somebody else, not you, you have to keep forcing it on you because it's not natural to you. And so you're waiting for motivation is a horrible loss to you, because motivation will hardly ever come, and it's extrinsic or coming outside of you, and it won't last long, and it won't feel good. So my invitation is, instead, figure out a system, carry out a system, so you don't have to depend on mood. And an example of this is, since we're conversational hypnotists, try this. If there's something you hate doing, try doing the first 5 minutes. Okay, so can somebody mention something big that they need to work on, that they've been procrastinating on? Hello?
Digital marketing plan. That's for me.
The what?
Digital marketing plan. So that's
Okay.
for me currently.
Okay. Okay, set aside, do what it takes so that there are no distractions. And then for 5 minutes with pen and all the papers you want, just concentrate. Set your timer for just 5 minutes and write out that digital marketing plan. And what will happen is something kicks in called the Zeigarnik effect, where essentially when we start something, it's like a running program and it demands conclusion. It's like asking a question and our system demands conclusion. So if you start it, it will be very hard to shake it off your system once you've started it. But what usually happens is you keep avoiding it. If instead, let's say it in a conversational this way, I'll just do 5 minutes. See, it's not so painful, right? But what will usually happen is if you start things for 5 minutes, it'll piss you off that you don't do more, or you'll get in the groove because you prepared for it and you might do more. Oh, it's okay. I'm still working an hour and a half later. That's pretty good. Or you just did 5 minutes, but your system will look for the conclusion because you already started. The reason why many things don't ever get done is we never start them. That's one of the major problems which fixes us in the quicksand of procrastination and stagnation. One of the biggest things is the main thing that's a problem is we don't get done because we don't even get started. But if you get started, it's not necessarily 50%, but sometimes that's 50% of the game done. Start anyway, no matter how you feel. Are we making sense so far, guys and girls?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Cool. So, homework. Assign a deep work block. Okay? Block an hour and a half for tomorrow. You don't have to go by it, but prepare to do 5 minutes of work. Focused work, no distractions, nothing else. Work on something cognitively demanding, something that takes thinking, that is valuable. People will pay you for it, or it will pay itself for you, or it will make you money, energy, or time, or attention, or ability for you. It will create resources for you. Okay? Set aside 1.5 hours for just in case you get into the groove, but only do 5 minutes. Okay? And if you do more than that, great. You don't have to stop yourself, but it's deep work that otherwise would not have happened had you not started. Cool?
Cool.
All right. Have you learned stuff, guys and girls?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, a lot.
Here's something to go through. In practice, returning to a hard task has a restart cost. It takes priming, it takes Ethereum, it takes gas, it takes effort to go back rather than just continuing. And one of the key ways to go around this, just start. Switching frequently between tasks makes things more difficult. If you're trying to do cognitively demanding work or deep work, as Cal Newport has called it and penned it for the rest of us, when you're doing that, it's useful to do whatever it takes to minimize switch tasking or fake multitasking. And one of my promises in the ad was I would teach you how Doctor Strange controls time. Anyone interested?
Yes.
Any ideas, by the way? Any ideas? People who have worked with me before. Do you remember how this goes, or do you have an idea how this goes?
We create time.
We
create time.
Really? Can you?
Not necessarily in the way of that you literally create time, but it takes zero time to create something new, and that's enough to push you to do something.
So, okay, 0 time. So, what are you using to create something new?
It comes from the clarity of mind.
Okay.
It takes zero time to create a good idea.
Okay, so when you're talking about ideas and creating ideas, and it doesn't cost time, what are you actually spending? You're on the right track.
Yeah.
What are you actually spending? It's not time, but you work with ideas and you can create things. What are you actually spending?
Energy.
Okay, that's included. How do you control energy?
Attention.
ATTENTION.
Yeah, attention.
I remember this is 10.
Yep. So
stem and clarity of mind.
Yep. So it's T or eat. Okay.
Yeah.
The way to control time is to manage energy. The way to manage energy is to control our attention or our focus. So attention, energy, time. Okay. In reverse. if you do it the wrong way, the reverse way, it's one of Ken's favorite words.
Shit.
It's
What's that?
Ah,
right? So even the way, if you go back to the movies or the comics, the way Stephen Strange does it is he has to focus. One time, he needed a diversion because he needed to concentrate on creating spells. So Spider-Man was around to help him. This was in the comics, because he needed time to focus on what he was doing. If he didn't do that, he couldn't do the spell. In the latest movie, there's also an element of this. Peter Parker kept butting in, making the spell creation difficult and dangerous. So the thing that Stephen Strange actually controls is focus or attention. Okay. And with that, he bends energy. And with that, he bends time. You guys got it?
Yep.
Okay. So homework. When we go through the audit, you'll see stuff pop up on your sheet of paper as you review your life. And my invitation for you is look at areas where you've been doing it wrong. You've been trying to control energy. You've been trying to control time when the thing you should have had tried to control is your attention. And in fact, that's the ultimate currency. That's what advertisers are trying to get. Okay. I didn't know if you knew this, but remember when we used to have newspapers?
Yes.
Yeah. And then there was a time when they would give it away free at burger places like Jollibee or McDonald's, or at the coffee shops. They'd give away the newspapers free, right? Remember that time?
Yes.
Okay. It's because what the newspapers are selling isn't newspapers. Riddle me this. What are the newspapers selling? Come on. What do you think?
Customers.
The shop.
Customers.
Yeah,
Customers.
the people.
Newspapers sell you
Yep.
to the advertisers. That's what happens on Facebook. They
Oh my
sell
gosh.
our souls to advertisers.
They're so bad.
Okay, that's why newspapers are free. That's why Facebook is free. It's to bind us, it's to control us, to sell us. Okay, because the ultimate currency, and they know this, the ultimate currency is our attention. Without it, they can do nothing. So they do what it takes, do whatever it takes to control the thing which controls everything else, which produces everything else. Mind opening, isn't that? Are you getting this, guys? All right.
Yes.
Definitely.
And as you look across your life, each time you've been doing it wrong, you have been leaking energy. And if you've been leaking energy from a tank of 100, you're leaking it left and right, past, present, future, into things which are already done, into other people's focus and urgencies, and just you've been using entertainment to remove emotional pressure because you've been avoiding something else. And each time you do that, you're bleeding energy. You're bleeding attention. You're giving away your soul. And you wonder why you feel tired even if you haven't done anything yet. Okay? Are you getting this, guys?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It may sound brutal, but the thing to control is actually your attention. That is the ultimate currency that we have as creative beings. Okay? And did you get the homework? Notice areas across your life where you've been doing it wrong, where you've been doing the shit formula instead of the attention first formula. And you'll notice that you've been bleeding energy and opportunities. You've been losing resources. You've been draining your time, losing time. You've been losing your energy. You've been losing your capacity to help other people. And this takes us back to what Romel mentioned, STEM, space, time, energy, matter. The thing to control all the other stones is actually attention. So you're looking at the mind stone. Cool. Have you got this?
Yep.
Energy flows where attention goes. You've heard this, right? So when you go through the mind dump or mind flush later, notice where you've been spending your attention and energy on, where you've been bleeding time. Here's another way for saying If you're not in charge, someone else is, guaranteed. In quantum physics, an oversimplification of this is in any closed system where there is intelligence, there's one dominant intelligence in charge. So example, there's a group. If you don't know who's in charge, I guarantee it's not you. Because the one who knows he's in charge, chances are that's the one who's in charge. Unless it's the rest of us. We think we're in charge when we're browsing through Facebook or doing social media, but no, somebody else has it. So if you're not in control, I guarantee somebody else is. And this is my invitation for you guys to find out how you can gain back control. And this is my example earlier. Turn off the lights where you don't need it. Stop wasting your energy. Stop wasting your time. So you can actually focus where that focus is useful and productive and helpful. Cool. And I said I'd share with you what we learned from life-saving medicine and surgery. It's this concept of triage. In triage, say example, there's a battlefield. We try to save those that can be saved. Who is still on a battlefield? Who can we still save that we need to get to first? Okay. So instead of wasting your time trying to take care of everyone, if somebody is going to die anyway, I'm sorry, this sounds brutal, but no, you have to focus on those who can still live. Okay? And so this extends across life. Where have you been bleeding energy that you cannot recover? Where are you bleeding energy that you can recover? Where can you stop the gap? So what's the highest leverage? What's the 20% that does the 80% for you? And my invitation is focus on that first. Are you getting this?
Yes.
Yep.
So as brutal as it sounds, we have 100 COVID patients, and we know that some of them aren't going to make it, no matter what we do. We will use, if we have limited resources, we will use them on those who will survive first. As horrible as that sounds. Because otherwise, those who could have had survived will not survive. So here's my invitation too. What opportunity costs are you losing? What resources are you draining? What are you not capable of doing because you have been trying to do everything all at once, or wasting your energy on things which are just shiny and urgent and nagging from other people, meaning you're not in control? And what should you focus on instead? You got this? Are you good?
Yep.
Okay. And a way to focus on this is we all have some level of an identity or who we believe we are. If you look at this this is a section of the brain, okay, that goes right in between the left and right. That's the eyeball on one side. And you look at the pink area there, the pink fuchsia area, that's the reticular activating system. Another way of saying this is who we believe we are directs what we become alert to. So by example, if you believe you're a cat person, you will notice cats. The moment you become a parent, you can ignore ambulances, but you will wake up to your own child's cry. Okay, it's at the identity level. So my invitation is not only figure out who you are and what's important to you, and we can do an entire module on this, okay? But to also find a way to automate that. If you believe you want to be something else, you had better start doing actions which prove you are that new thing. If you used to be a villain, if you don't start doing things which are hero-like, you will never believe and become a hero. Is this making sense? Hello?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. What I mean, I'll just say this in an easier way. Okay, what happens when we give in to the little addictions or we get distracted left and right? What happens is that we get a little spike of dopamine. Okay, and when we, for very little effort, we get some dopamine, it becomes less interesting to move when we don't get dopamine. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I'll say it in a different way. During our caveman times, if you hunted, you would get a dopamine spike if you caught a saber-toothed tiger and you could feed your family. Okay? Nowadays, we don't have to hunt saber-tooth and we already get dopamine. Consequently, because everything on our devices give us dopamine, it takes a larger and larger dose to get off our asses because it isn't rewarding enough. In reverse, if we starve ourselves of our addictions, if we stay away from them so that we can regain dopamine sensitivity, our work can be rewarding again. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So there's a funny example in the attraction, seduction, dating field where there's this issue with what's called PFO, porn, FAP orgasm. Okay. The long and short is people who rely on porn and then playing with themselves and then having an orgasm. They're actually less interested in the real thing because they're already getting their dopamine some way else. Does that kind of make sense?
Mhm.
Are you getting this? Are you getting this? I'm basically saying that if you don't give in to what's usually distracting you or keeping you from the work you should be doing, the work you should be doing will become more rewarding. Okay? Less distractions, more focus, more good feelings, more reinforcement, more rituals become habits, and you become better every day. Are you getting this? Hello?
Yep.
Okay. I'm also saying
It's like the illusion of it is more rewarding than the actual.
Let's take Japan, for example. The land of left and right porn and all these alternatives. Very few people are dating. Less and less men and women are interested in sex. Men think their anime waifus are so much more tame and non-scary, and so they don't want to date. And there's less and less sex happening because they're already getting their dopamine from something else. It's demotivating. Some people never leave their rooms anymore. It's not motivating enough to go meet people. It's high risk or reward. They already get their dopamine from something else. Is that making sense?
Yes.
And then extrapolate this to the rest of what you're doing. If you're wasting your time, energy, and attention on other things, the thing you actually need to do, deep work, isn't going to give you enough dopamine to get going.
I think it's getting the same reward with less work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You already get a dose of. We are already getting the saber-tooth level of dopamine from just our devices. Okay, and we haven't hunted saber-tooth. Does that kind of make sense? And so to get us off our ass, we need a higher dose. We need more stimulation. We need a bigger game. We need something more interesting. We need a bigger, brighter, new. We need a shiny new object. And advertisers know what to do. Marketers know what to do. To control us. Are you getting this?
Yep.
Bigger, brighter, shinier, better, shorter. Okay? Just because our attention span isn't so good anymore. Okay? Have you got this? Okay?
Yep.
Okay, so homework. What one addiction can I reduce or remove? It can be simple as, 1 day a week, remove an addiction, or remove 1 hour a day from any addiction. And then you don't have to do anything with that hour. You could just enjoy it, chill. Or you could assign it to deep work and see how that goes, even if it's just 5 minutes. I will do 5 minutes of deep work for every hour of Netflix. See what happens. Because used to be, you'd spend 6-8 hours on Netflix every day. Are you getting this?
Yes.
And that's just a fancy slide saying a lot of things. But I hope you learned something already. But here's where I'm hoping we get, so that you enjoy life with clarity and impact. And here's an Eisenhower matrix of my own doing. I'll simplify since this isn't a broad course. There are some things you have to learn to avoid. There are some things you have to learn to limit. There are some things that you have to learn to manage. And there are things which you need to focus on to the exclusion of all else. And my invitation is to figure out which you can actually stop doing or start doing less of, and which you should start focusing more on. Are you getting this?
Yep.
Cool. And that's most of that little webinar for tonight. And a way of looking at that is, what do you need to focus on? What are your goals? What are if I had more time, I can fit it in? And what can I set aside? Or back burner? We have other courses as well, and we can talk about them later. Really, all of this is a chance for me to hear and talk to my friends who I would like to be in more contact with, and to introduce the upcoming acceleration course to you guys. And I'd love very much if you would talk with me regarding details about that. Did you get something from this so far? Guys, girls? Hello?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. That's it for the content. Would you like to do a mini workshop?
Sure.
Sure. Yes.
Painful, yes.
Okay.
Yes. No, thank